Like you should know how to evaluate talent. Really, I think that's like a good indicator, right?
In theory, I don't think any of that's ever 100%. If anyone had 100%, you'd be super genius level. But yes, you should recognize the traits that you're looking for, and you should make sure those are the right traits. And then it, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy if you find those folks, and then those folks are looking for additional people. Like it just a culture doesn't come out of thin air. A culture is the people, right? Culture is not something that five bullet points dictates, right? The five bullet points typically capture the essence of that culture. But the thing that I would say, one of the things I'm most proud about Extend, never mind the product, never mind the business success, is the team that we built here and the culture that we built together. And coming into the office and seeing that physical manifestation, talking to people on Zoom because we are quite hybrid, we're dispersed as well. Experiencing all of that, experiencing the goodness that people bring, the creativity, the excitement, the spark, the hard work. At a certain point, the founders have to exude all of that. But now we're a big enough company where that's in the air. And so then you also start to somewhat self-select for other people who want to be around that environment. And we have pretty solid no jerks policy here, and I think we love everyone at this company, and that just trickles down, right? You don't have to worry that you're going to hire someone bad because that's what everyone is looking for now. Everyone values that.
JB Chakowski, he's like probably one of the most quoted leaders on this show. So he's the global head of QuickBooks, designed for QuickBooks, and he says that culture is a patine, right? If you look at someone that has like a well-worn wallet, a patine's like the signs of wear, right? And have usage. And if you want to use like a UX term, it's like a desire line, right? Where it's showing how you like to use that object. And I think that really resonates with me because it's not about posters and bullet point and values. It's what are the signs of like what's the patine in the culture of like how you do things and how you choose to run a company.
It's certainly time driven for sure out of that, right? It's not something that you just wave a wand and
Yeah.
it appears. It certainly has to be intentional. It can form without intentionality, but if you want it to be a strong culture, you have to be mindful. And just like any relationship, right? You have to be mindful of it. You have to put your effort into it. But it's the synonym of that is where, right? Like is where, but it's not where because it's patina implies that over time it's gotten better,
It's more
right?
right.
It's marinated, it's gotten valuable. Like that, the outside has influenced it to become better, and I think that's definitely true of culture, right? That has to. It is not something that is dictated. It's impossible to dictate it. You can demonstrate it, but you can't dictate it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's tremendously important. Going back to all of these things that we've been talking about, you have to be surrounded by the right people. Those people have to believe in similar things to what you believe. No, obviously, no one believes your carbon copy set of beliefs, but there have to be some core beliefs that everyone holds to be true. There has to be some core desire of everyone wanting to learn and better themselves, curiosity, wanting to push themselves, caring for our customers, right? Having that empathy. And that empathy goes from our business development folks who are trying to sell to a bank, to our folks who are trying to ride along and explain to corporates why our product is good, to our customer success, to our designers, to our engineers, to our product folks across the board. You have to have that empathy. You have to keep wanting to learn because at a small startup, your job is what it is today is not necessarily what it's going to be tomorrow. Everyone keeps evolving. And I always say when we're interviewing to the wrong person, a startup is chaotic and not the right place because they don't know what they're going to be doing tomorrow. But to the right person who's excited by getting to touch so many different things, the cliche of wearing different hats, really getting to learn different experiences. Like for the right type of person, that is a dream world. And so it's about filling our team with those folks who are excited and passionate about all of those pieces.
So one of the reasons why I rebranded the podcast from the way of product design to just the way of product, right? The actual like craft and discipline of product is I watched the config talk from Brian Chesky from Airbnb and how he talked about how he's like he tried everything, all the best practices, the Silicon Valley product group, the squad model, and like hiring PMs and stuff like that. And then he just chose to design his own business operating model, his own SOPs, and they're doing pretty well as a business. And that taught me that I'm like, oh, there's no rules. It's like like a business, how you want to run it and like how you want to operate it is totally, you could go complete like custom mode if you wanted to. And then at the end of it, he bookends his talk with, hey, I might not be like a designer in like the way that everyone else thinks of design, but I design businesses. And so the conclusion to me was, and I wonder what your thoughts are on this, that um, the the discipline isn't the individual. Like people get hung up on like screen design, UI design as like the discipline is their identity, but it's just a discipline. There's other disciplines, and I wonder if like the natural progression into like leadership is like just you're just picking another discipline. You're still a designer, you're still an engineer. You're just designing engineering orgs at this point. You're just designing design orgs, or you're designing the business. Like that's a different discipline. You're still doing the job. Like your identity's not gone because you move up. You just chose a
Well,
different
and I think
game.
what I hear there is, yeah, how do you apply your creativity? How do you apply your empathetic mind? How do you apply your ability to observe things? How do you apply your ability to learn from things, your curiosity to want to keep learning? All those things, you could you could apply those things in nearly any job, right? And so if you want to keep growing, it's a requirement that you would keep expanding your skill set. And it would be a requirement to say, yeah, I'm good at listening to client feedback, so I adjust the design this way when I'm doing a UX layout. That is very adjacent skills to I'm listening to a end user and I'm adjusting a product flow this way. Or I'm listening to an employee or a team of employees and adjusting our process. They obviously, you learn a bunch of stuff that works and doesn't work. The longer you're in a set discipline, the more experience you can bring to bear. But I agree completely. I think there are certain muscles that you flex that are very similar. And I keep coming back to the scratching an inch. There are certain things that bring people enjoyment, right? Being creative, solving problems. You can do that in any discipline. It doesn't have to mean that if you're creative, you can only be doing visual layout, and that's the only way to be a creative person.
Yeah, like you don't have to be like official title designer to be creative. And if you even look at what design thinking is, it's really just a repackaging of abductive reasoning. Just the ability to identify connections between unrelated things, make a deduction on like what you think the connection is, and if you look at it that way, that's engineering thinking. That's basically just you are making abductions about how the world works or why a problem is the way it is, and then you're figuring out what vehicles you use to experiment and
Well,
see